Hello, ladies and gents. It's been a while, and I'll go ahead and apologize for addressing you from my meditation space again. I know how annoying it is to look at feet instead of looking at faces, but I'll wave to you either. Something that's been weighing very, very heavy on my heart recently. I can tell that there's this particular group of people here on YouTube who is having a difficult time finding their way because they are trying to rebel against the lies and the deception in the mainstream media and the common errors in the approach to governing, and specifically the United States of America. And I am so incredibly sympathetic with this group of individuals. But the difference between what I know about the situation and what can be easily articulated in a way that I believe the rest of you can understand it is so difficult that I really don't know where to start on this. It's not that I don't have anything to say. I have a lot to say. I have too much to say, perhaps. It seems to be too big of a distance between what is a informed, objective strategy and a haphazard plan that would be leading us to failure. And so there's a lot of people who are specifically sort of rallying in spirit around the deceptions associated with September 11th, 2001. And it's been augmented by the election fraud and the potentially problematic facts that seem to be arising about the nature of the legitimacy of Barack Hussein Obama as President of the United States. Now, on the face of it, if you look at him following George H.W. Bush, it's almost like there was a sort of joke in play from the media that I think a lot of people miss on the face of it. The argument was that he was plausibly deniably electable because people were fed up and they wanted a change, and they were trying to make a statement by electing someone with that name. And there's a lot of people that have been very, very displeased with what has happened and the consequence of the September 11th lies. And if I had told, say, SmokinJoeTrainer, Andrew, before he went to Afghanistan or Iraq, that he would be wanting to bring this fight to the streets in the United States to wrest back the control of our country from these external influences that have puppeted it. If he did this, if we indeed went along with this, these nefarious individuals, we'll just call them the neocons. They're con artists, they're con men, and Obama is one of their people. Obama is put into power by this very same group of people that put George W. Bush into power. And if you notice, there was no changing in the guard in the Defense Department. It's arguable that that whoever was really in control of the United States military is still in control of the United States military. And even the change in the guard that did happen 2 years late on Obama's watch, that was promised immediate withdrawal of all the troops, and everybody thought, oh wow, another reason to plausibly believe that he was electorally electable, But I've been around long enough to see how these games are played. And unfortunately, I see how a lot of you are being played. And in the case of you, Andrew, what you revealed about yourself about being affiliated with Army PsyOps, you can't get away from that. And those people, the people who you sort of not necessarily rebelled against, but parted company from, they'll be watching you forever, basically. And a lot of them will be rooting for you behind the scenes, and a lot of them will be trying to be manipulating you and doing bad things to you without you even realizing it, because that's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of what has been told to our culture. That's the nature of the deception. And this is another reason that I have a very difficult time speaking about these things, is because there's this huge discrepancy between what I see as, for example, Christianity, and the difference between Christianity and Islam, and your perception of what Christianity is. And there's no way to reconcile this. I'm not an Islamist. I'm not even a rishi in proper. I'm not. I mean, you could say that the ancient Hindu faith is the closest thing that I have to such a thing. But in reality, I'm following a religion that's been dead for thousands, perhaps 20 of thousands of years, that came to me transcendentally, and the knowledge and teaching of which persists in my day-to-day in a way that is very difficult to move Western culture on. And so I'm with you in spirit. I understand your animosity and your anxiety towards the false government. And you mentioned before that you have friends in the FBI. And that's something that concerns me greatly, because as far as I'm concerned, the FBI was demolished on September 11th, 2001. When the cover-up from the theft of the 2001 election didn't seem like it was going to fly, pun intended, a greater diversion was sort of initiated to take the pressure off of what was the Supreme Court of the United States, which now carries about as much weight with most people as the drug laws. And so, and there's this other group of people who use these secret laws, the secret parts of the Patriot Act. From my perspective, the Patriot Act is an act. They're acting, and they're joking about the fact that they're actors in the name of the document, the Patriot Act. Oh, we're going to pretend like we're patriots, and this is our script. And it's so sad and so transparent from the perspective of someone like myself that sees through it, that just saying the simplest things about it are incredibly difficult because of the brainwashing, because that the people who went to war believing the September 11th story, believing the Osama bin Laden story, not knowing that there was a coup on that day, arguably a military coup with a foreign national wing to it. That coup destroyed the way of life of a lot of American people, and it definitely took away what you would call our sovereignty. You could argue that this was taken away when John F. Kennedy was assassinated, and the American people never got an explanation. A supposedly democratic society can't possibly imagine that they can keep secret the reason for the assassination of one of their leaders and have the people who are supposedly casting the votes making an educated democratic choice. And so this is the complication that I'm talking about. It's not new, it's old, it's very old, it's ancient even. And so the place where I come in to this world is from someplace that's a little higher or farther away, perhaps, in a lot of people's estimation. Now, it wasn't necessarily my choice to be born into the life that I'm in, and definitely a lot of the things that have happened to me along the way that have really defined and shaped who John Bryant is, way more than I've ever been able to personally. Those things are sort of out of my control, and so that sort of movement within the group that was your former peer group. I don't know what your relationship is with the person in the FBI. I'm not sure if that person realizes what actually happened on that day. Clearly, anyone that was not aware that that was going to be happening that day has a very interesting story to tell, a story that the government does not want told. Now, that alone is enough for these people to attempt to silence, assassinate, etc., just to keep that quiet, just to keep those people quiet. And so I want to respect the fact that those people are in a very, very difficult position. because they are. Their lives are at stake. Many of them have lost their lives. Some of them have probably had their lives taken away from them in very grotesque ways that rival anything you've ever heard about Nazi Germany. And so when the Nazis came into the United States after the war and created NASA, if you look at the end of the presidential parade, you'll see that Obama was simply the winner of a brand new Mars rover. And that's how the inaugural parade ends these days. And so there's another level, there's another sort of thing that had got into the US government unbeknownst to most of the citizens, and whether or not the Jews actually conspired with the former Nazis to sell the fake story in the form of 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick producing the moon landings, the intelligence gaming that goes on using these as code words for what basically amounts to as treason against the US people. And quite frankly, offends God in a fairly serious way. And so the true nature of the cosmos, the true nature of what the moon is, may be better articulated in the Quran, unfortunately for the American citizens who don't know any better.